What's happening? Thanks for joining me as always on this Monday, this Victory Monday. For the second time in 3 weeks, we have a Victory Monday for the Patriots. We'll get into this game, but before we do, I want to send out a sincere thank you to all the veterans on this Veterans Day. Appreciate what you do, appreciate what you have done for this country, for all of us to enjoy our freedom. So thank you to every single solitary veteran out there today. It means the world to me, and I know it means the world to a lot of people what you do on a day in, day out basis. All right, let's jump into the Patriots. Patriots beat, yes, they beat the Chicago Bears yesterday, 19-3 in Chicago. And we all start with the quarterback battle, right? This was booked as the Caleb Williams versus Drake Maye showdown, first pick in the draft versus the third pick in the draft. And it's rather obvious that Drake Maye won this battle. It was clear watching this game that as of right now, Drake Maye is the better quarterback. Caleb Williams was very indecisive, looking around, not really sure what he was seeing. He was confused, did not look comfortable in the pocket. He was taking a ton of sacks. We'll get into the sacks and the hits later on and what this defense did for the Patriots. But Caleb Williams deserves at least some of the criticism for the sacks that Chicago gave up. And we talked about that on Friday. We talked about this game, previewing Bears and Patriots. And I had mentioned one of the big weaknesses of watching Caleb Williams this year with Chicago is the fact that he holds on to the football forever. And he takes way too many sacks. And you saw that yesterday. He was also very inaccurate. He was all over the place, spraying the football around. Drake Maye is supposed to be the guy that sprays the football around and shows that inaccuracy. Caleb Williams was plenty inaccurate yesterday. And if you're a big believer in body language, man, did Caleb's body language suck out on that field. And it wasn't only Caleb, it was also the rest of Chicago. The Bears just looked like they did not want to be there offensively. It was brutal. That's a rough watch. I got a friend who's a Chicago fan. We were texting back and forth, and he's done. He's beside himself. He's ready to move on from that coaching staff. And Caleb was not the guy who was looking like, let me lift everybody up here. He looked as frustrated as anybody. So Caleb did not have a good day. Drake Maye did not have a great day, but I do think he had a good day given the circumstances, which I'll get into in a couple of minutes. But he dropped 4 or 5 dimes. The pass to Austin Hooper on the sideline, that's a fantastic pass with great touch. The throw to KJ Osborne in the end zone, unfortunately, Osborne stepped out of bounds. If he didn't, that's a highlight reel type play that everybody would be talking about today. Kayshon Boutte, the throw to Boutte late in the first half to set up the field goal before halftime. That was a fantastic throw. The other part of Drake Maye's game that I enjoyed yesterday was he took some profits. We always talk about taking profits, which means don't try to do too much. If it's not there, don't force it. Check down. Check down is your friend as a quarterback. A lot of people make fun of quarterbacks checking down. When it's necessary, a check down is a very smart play. And yesterday we saw Maye go through his progressions, didn't try to force it, and checked it down a couple of times. That's improvement. Take your profits. They converted some big third downs thanks to Drake Maye's play and Alex Van Pelt and his play calling, which we'll get to a little bit later. But the end of half says an awful lot about Drake Maye. It's the poise, it's the confidence, it's the situational awareness. It's playing within structure to find Boutte on that play about 23 yards downfield, right? Fantastic throw. It's a perfect throw to Boutte. It's a good play call by Alex Van Pelt. Boutte hands it to the ref, which is smart. But Drake makes that throw. He understands how much time he has. He gets down the field. He sprints downfield with the rest of the offense. He gets everybody lined up in time, spikes it so they can kick that field goal before halftime. That is tremendous poise from a rookie quarterback. That's understanding the clock, not speeding up. He didn't rush the throw to Boutte, right? He took his time, understood what was there, and made a great throw to him to set up that field goal. So when you look at somebody who's 22 years old, starting his 4th or 5th game in the NFL, to show that poise, that understanding of the clock, and the perfect execution to set up that field goal, that's great stuff. That is great stuff for Drake Maye. That's a fantastic series because of all the different elements. Making sure everybody is set, making sure everybody understands the situation, controlling the huddle, getting the guys up to the line of scrimmage. Just tremendous stuff from your rookie quarterback. And then we talk about the other things that aren't on the field that speak to who Drake Maye is as a QB at only 22 years old. Laura Oakman from the broadcast, she said this during the game, that the week of practice wasn't going great. And so Maye actually went to Alex Van Pelt and said, can I talk to the guys? And Maye talked about this in the postgame because he was asked about it. And apparently it was on Wednesday, and there was a messed up snap, and guys were just kind of out of sorts. And Maye saw that, he felt it, and he said, I got to talk to these guys. And he spoke to them. And Michael Wenu and others in that locker room yesterday said that what Drake Maye shared with them after that practice, the way he spoke to them, they picked up what he put down, and they thought they needed it. So you want to talk about leadership? You want to talk about a quarterback who understands his team, knows they're not sharp in the moment, and says, we got to get some of these things fixed? That says so much about him. Again, only at 22 years old. His post-game press conference. During Christian Gonzalez's post-game presser with the media yesterday, Drake Maye is sitting off to the side. Gonzalez has asked about Maye. Maye immediately, within like a second, cuts off Christian Gonzalez and makes sure that he points the attention to the defense and to Gonzalez and says, it's not about me. It's not about what I did. It's about what those guys did. These are little things, and they seem simple, but they mean so much in that locker room. And a lot of younger guys might not get that moment, right? The fact that he understood in real time to cut the answer off by Gonzalez, to not make it about himself, but to make it about the defense, and to make it about Gonzalez, who's standing up there at the podium, to give respect and appreciation to his teammate in real time. That's a young man that gets it. I don't know if he's going to be great. I don't even know if he's going to be very good. He's off to a good start. But this post-game press conference stuff, getting the team together because practices weren't as sharp as they should have been, that is tremendous leadership from a 22-year-old man who is going through his rookie season in the NFL. He goes out there and he plays the way he played in Chicago. In Chicago, we could talk about how bad they are, and they are bad right now. The coaching staff is brutal. Talked about it on Friday. Was not surprised that the coaching staff struggled yesterday for the Bears. But in Chicago, Chicago's been tough to beat. They've won like 8 or 9 straight games before yesterday's game. Not an easy place to play. The weather wasn't, great as far as the wind goes. You have a lot of questions going in, and Drake just handled his business. Again, he wasn't great, but he was good enough. And when we talk about a performance from a rookie, we all have to also appreciate the circumstances. We've got to appreciate who he's playing against. Chicago's pass defense. We said this last week, getting you ready for the game yesterday. This is not hindsight's 2020, okay? We told you this. Chicago's defense against the pass is legitimate. One of the best pass defenses in football. They had a top 10 pressure rate in football. They played a ton of zone, which, Maye, he attacks man coverage. The one big scramble that Maye had was against man coverage. Is that a surprise? No. Because what Maye has done is he's taken advantage of defenses playing man, and he understands I can take off and pick up 8, 10, 12, 15 yards at a time. Chicago plays lots of zone. So those quote-unquote easy yards with his legs, they weren't there yesterday. So you have to think about the circumstances. You've got to think about the hand that was dealt. Going against one of the best pass defenses in football, going against a pretty damn good pass rush, windy in Chicago, tough place to play, against a defense that plays a lot of zone, so they're taking one of your strengths away from you because you're not going to be able to run with the football a ton. That was a game where Drake Maye had to make plays within structure. He had to make plays in the pocket. He had to, yes, extend, but he had to make those plays with that extended pocket. He was not going to be able to run for 75, 80, 100 yards. And so that's the type of game that even if Maye plays well, means a lot. because he had to do things that he's not accustomed to doing and wasn't, quite frankly, great at doing when he was at North Carolina. So his ability to go against that defense, against that pass defense within the structure from the pocket and be able to make as many plays as he did, that's a great sign. That is a great sign. It wasn't perfect. He had the terrible interception. He said he was trying to throw it away, and he didn't throw it far enough. Next time, I would suggest you chuck it into the second row, Drake. It was a bad interception. He had the late throw to Hunter Henry in the end zone, which should have been picked. It wasn't. He was lucky there. He did have some iffy reads. And I'll say it again because I said it this past week. He has to do a much, much better job at sliding. Get down. Before his concussion, he was actually doing a good job of sliding and getting down. Last 2 games, he keeps going, head forward. I don't want to see that. Slide, get down, save yourself. But overall, you once again walk away feeling good about your quarterback, especially when you watch that quarterback go against the guy who was drafted number 1 overall in the same draft. All right, we have lots of thoughts about this game beyond the quarterback. Anonymous, though, sends a $10 super chat. Victory Monday super chat. Thank you, Anonymous. It is very much appreciated. Yes, our second Victory Monday in the last 3 weeks. And they could have, and many would argue, should have beaten Tennessee. They could have a 3-game winning streak right now if they handle things a little bit differently against Tennessee. But you'll take 2 out of 3. Terry jumps in with a $50 super chat, my super chat for the unexpected win, but also getting to watch the Jets lose so badly. Haha, Aaron. Yeah, the Jets are very, very, very bad. When you talk about trying to find consistency, Aaron Rodgers doesn't look great. He's obviously not happy. The defense is falling apart. Arizona tore them up yesterday. Season certainly looks over, which was interesting because they had the big win on Thursday night after losing to the Patriots, and you felt like, hey, maybe they'll figure some things out. No, right back to being bad yesterday at Arizona. A brutal game for the Jets. And again, it looks like their season is over. They have an outside shot because the AFC isn't very good this year. But man, oh man, imagine being the Jets. They're all in. They're all in. They're trading for Devontae Adams. They're giving Rodgers that contract after trading for him. They're all in. And it certainly looks like firing Robert Saleh was the wrong move because that defense has gotten worse since he left. Offense not much better. Defense even worse. So the Jets, a team, they have Super Bowl thoughts heading into this season, and they are falling apart at the seams. All right, let's get back to the Patriots. But before we do, a couple things. All of you know this, right? You can give us that like, hit that thumbs up on the YouTube channel. If you're watching for the first time, make sure you hit that thumbs up on YouTube because that helps us beat the algorithm that YouTube throws at content creators, quote unquote, like me. So make sure you hit that thumbs up. Also throw a comment in. I see a lot of your comments coming in. I appreciate every single one of them. The comments, more comments, also helps beat that algorithm. And let's subscribe. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers. We're about 90 or so away from 5,000 subscribers. Let's get it done. Let's get it done, hopefully before Thanksgiving. Subscribe, click that notify bell, become part of this family that we are building here at the Nick Cattle Show. Appreciate every single solitary one of you. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Pods, on demand, you can always slide over to YouTube, click that like button for us, subscribe and throw a comment in, and then go right back to Spotify and Apple Pods if you would like to do that. All right, the other part of this game that I think we really need to look at is the Patriots defensive line. The Patriots defensive line yesterday, they ate. They ate. And I picked the Bears to win on Friday. I talked about their offensive line having issues, talked about both of their starting tackles being out for this game. On Sunday, they lost 2 other offensive linemen. And honestly, I underestimated those losses on the Chicago offensive line and what that would do to the operation that was already struggling. And, Chicago without the starting tackles, Jenkins then goes down during the game, and the Patriots just took advantage of it, man. 9 sacks. The Patriots had 9 sacks on the day. 7 different players had a sack. Wise and Anthony Jennings, they had 2 sacks apiece. It was constant pressure, constant hitting Caleb Williams, making him uncomfortable in the pocket, but also the run defense for the Patriots. And I couldn't pick the Patriots on Friday because I said 2 things. How can I believe in the Patriots if they can't run the football? We'll get to that in a little bit. How can I believe in them winning a game right now if they can't stop the run consistently? Those were 2 of the things we were looking at, right? Well, here we are. Run defense yesterday was good. 20 carries, 73 yards for Chicago, under 4 yards a carry. Jeremiah Farms had a huge impact in this football game. Imagine if I told you that Jeremiah Farms was going to be a difference maker yesterday before the game kicked off. Farms played terrific. He had a couple of run stuffs, tackle for losses. He had some pressures. He had a sack. He was really good. Then you had Brendan Schooler as the spy, which was a great job by DeMarcus Covington. Schooler only played 5 or 6 snaps as the spy, but he made a big difference on those snaps. They're calling it the Longhorn package, right? Because Brendan went to Texas. So you had Schooler out there spying Caleb Williams, and that was a wrinkle that we hadn't seen, and that was a very smart wrinkle. You know, it's one of those things that if Bill Belichick did it, we'd be raving about Belichick taking a special teams guy who hardly ever plays safety, if at all played safety in a regular season game, out there spying the number 1 pick in this year's draft and doing a great job. So shout out to Covington, shout out to Mayo for picking Schooler for that specific responsibility and him doing a good job with it. So that's a good job coaching. I'll get to the coaches overall a little bit later. Keion White. Keion White was a beast. He had 6 pressures. Keion White had 6 pressures yesterday, and 2 of those 6 were quick pressures. So pretty much right away, he's in the backfield on the quarterback. Great game for Keion White. Dietrich Wise was good. He had 2 sacks. Jennings, again, he had a couple of sacks. He was good on the edge. Jennings continues to play very good football. Then we get to offensively. Imagine that. Can you stop the run? Can you run the football? The Patriots had some run game yesterday. Now, it wasn't great. When you look at the running backs had 31 carries for 120 yards. That's still under 4 yards per carry. But off of what we've seen the last few weeks, the last several weeks, watching the running backs go for over 100 yards yesterday, it was like you were watching the greatest run offense in the history of football. The difference, right? Not because they were great, but because they were so much better than they have been. And they had a run game that they could actually try to go to, which helps everything else. They had some outside zone that worked for the first time in a long time. And the running backs, they didn't take losses, which was great. How many times over the past several weeks have we seen a running back get stopped at the line of scrimmage, get stopped 2-3 yards behind the line of scrimmage? Sometimes you see a running back get stuffed 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. We didn't really see that yesterday. Running backs were at least getting a yard, 2 yards, 4 yards. And again, that helps. You're not looking at 2nd and 9 every single time. A 2nd and 7 is much different. A 2nd and 6 is a world of difference versus a 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10. So that early down run game, even if it was 3 yards, 4 yards at a pop, it makes such a difference. Running backs not taking losses. Evan Lazar wrote about the run game. Patriots rush yards before contact by the running backs yesterday. They were plus 24. So plus 24 yards before contact, weeks 6 through 9, minus 47. What that tells us is the offensive line did a much better job at moving the defense. They were winning in the trenches in the run game. The Pats actually had some success. Not a shocker if you're just looking at the Chicago side, because Chicago's been so bad against the run, which we talked about on Friday previewing this game. But the Patriots, as I said on Friday, they've played bad run defenses, and they haven't been able to get anything on the ground. At least yesterday, they were productive on the ground. And because you were productive, that opened up the play action game, a huge part of this offense that Alex Van Pelt has really not been able to utilize because of the lack of run. ran the football better yesterday. Play action worked better yesterday. Drake Maye was 4 for 6, 71 yards and a touchdown in play action. That's what you need to see. This offense needs some success in play action to really start opening up what they want to do in the passing game. So great stuff there. Hooper, Henry were good. Hooper was very good, probably his best game as a Patriot. Shout out to Kayshon Boutte, who certainly looks like the number one receiver right now on this football team. Boutte playing well yesterday. Jalen Polk caught a touchdown. He not only caught a touchdown, he caught the football. Jalen Polk caught the football, folks. He caught the football for a touchdown. And that play call, even though it looks so simple, that means something. There's significance there because Alex Van Pelt is telling Polk, Drake Maye is telling Polk, Jerod Mayo is telling the rookie wide receiver, we know you've had a hard time, but we still believe in you, and we still trust you. So we're going to throw the football to you here and give you a shot to score a touchdown. That's showing some trust in Polk, which is a good step. So good job by them. Back to the Patriots defense, though. Because, yes, Drake Maye outplayed Caleb. The Patriots defensive line is the reason why they won this football game. They were also able to run the football. But you look at the rest of this defense and what they did. Chicago was 1 for 14 on third down. That's crazy. You want to talk about shutting an offense down? That's how you do it. You don't give up chunk plays on first and second. You put them third and long, and they have no chance. 1 for 14 on third down. And I thought the biggest part of this game was the beginning of this game. Chicago had tremendous field position on their first 3 drives. First drive of the game for them, they're at the New England 47. The second drive, they're at their own 40. The third drive, they're at their own 48. They had fantastic field position the first 3 offensive drives, and they could do absolutely nothing with that. And for a team coming off the game against Arizona and having a lot of questions about their play caller, Shane Waldron, the fan base is frustrated, the quarterback is frustrated, everybody is frustrated. For the Bears to have that great field position and not get anything offensively from those 3 drives, that just killed them. It crushed them. Because now you're thinking, this is the same old, same old. So the Patriots defense and their ability to not give up points, even though they were stuck in a very, very difficult situation the first 3 drives, great job by them. Great job by the defense on the sudden change, right? Drake Maye throws an interception, no big deal. Patriots defense steps up. Chicago gets nothing out of it. So really the first quarter and a half set the game for the rest of the way, because the Patriots defense told Chicago's offense, you're not getting much of anything off us today. You can get the ball to 50 and we're still going to make life difficult. And it starts to play with Chicago. And, you know, I thought when you look at some of these overall numbers, again, third down, 1 for 14, the Bears, they averaged 2.4 yards per play. That's laughable. 2.4 yards per play in the NFL. That's a joke. Great job by the Patriots defense. And yes, the Chicago offense, it's just not very good. It's all over the place. And Mike Reese tweeted out a video today showing what the Patriots did. They did a much, much, much better job of marrying their pass coverage, their pass defense, right? Their secondary coverage, marrying that with their pass rush. And because they did a better job of that, it made life difficult for Caleb. It confused Caleb Williams all day long. All right, I want to get to the coaches. I'll get to the coaches in a minute because they deserve their flowers. I say this all the time when I do the pod. I am here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. live, Eastern on YouTube, and I am sitting here ready to tell you the honest truth about what I see. And when the coaches stink, I rip them from pillar to post. But as I say all the time, I give credit when credit is due. I criticize when criticism is due. Coaches deserve credit for yesterday's game. I'll get into that in a minute. But Charlie jumps in with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Charlie. It is much appreciated. We buried the Bears. Let's go. Yeah, it was a pretty convincing win, the most convincing win of the season, right? Even more convincing than that Cincinnati win. And it's pretty interesting that 2 of the 3 wins this year have come on the road. And that does show a little bit of mental toughness from this team, which is something else you can take from yesterday's game. So, again, thank you, Charlie, for the super chat. I remind you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Likes and comments, they drive engagement here on YouTube. That's how we build this community. So don't forget to like and comment. And don't forget to subscribe. Trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by Turkey Day. All right, let's get to the coaches. Again, they deserve all the love that they get today. They deserve the flowers being thrown their way, the bouquets at their feet. Alex Van Pelt, somebody who I have ripped and I believe deserves the ripping, thought he was good yesterday. The early down offense, getting something from the run game. They had great balance, 31 runs, 30 dropbacks by my count. So, I mean, you're almost 1 for 1. And when you have that offensive balance, it makes it much more difficult on the defense. So AVP kept the offense balanced. I thought he called a number of play action plays. Great timing. The poke touchdown, that's film. Andrew Callahan wrote about it at the Herald. You know, they saw something on film that Chicago had a really difficult time defending play action in the low red zone area. They go with the play action to poke, and it works beautifully. He's wide open. It's great play calling. So a good job by AVP. I thought they attacked their secondary with the tight ends, which was smart football. They played a lot of 12 personnel, and that's been their most efficient offense. When you look at minimizing mistakes, they minimized their mistakes. The wide receivers did a pretty good job yesterday minimizing those mistakes. Kayshon Boutte had the hold on the screen. Other than that, you know, I didn't really see any drops. I don't remember a single drop. Maybe I missed one, but they weren't dropping the football. They made plays when they had opportunities, especially Kayshon Boutte making some plays. Alex Van Pelt, how about a little bit of creativity with the double reverse flea flicker? How about the fake toss into the bubble screen to Pop Douglas? So a little bit more creativity from Van Pelt. He opened it up a little bit more yesterday. So that's signs of progress. DeMarcus Covington. I mean, we saw the defense, but spying Caleb Williams with Schooler at times was smart. They took advantage of Chicago's offensive line and their coverage plan. Covington's plan was very smart, and Evan Lazar wrote about this. Christian Gonzalez told reporters that he, quote-unquote, had the boundary this week. With 3 legitimate weapons, the Patriots left Gonzalez on the backside X-receiver and mostly ran their coverage schemes to the passing strength. Gonzalez split time on Moore, 18 routes. Rome Odunze, 15 routes. Gonzalez shut him down. He allowed just 1 catch for 18 yards on 3 targets. And Lazar wrote, Gonzalez's ability to take the boundary receiver in single coverage allowed the Patriots to scheme up ways to confuse Williams and pressure the quarterback. Sometimes it makes sense for him to shadow a specific receiver, but this was a good plan by the coaches. So, you know, there's Covington, good plan by the coaches, having Gonzalez take the boundary and shading coverage where they need to. Lazar on man coverage. Patriots defense playing man coverage at the second highest rate in the NFL. How many times have we talked about that? The idea that this defense is better when they play. This defense is better when they play man coverage. And we've seen man coverage at the second highest rate from this defense. So that's Covington leaning into their strength. They play man coverage more than anybody outside of the Detroit Lions. Opposing offenses, Lazar writes, against man coverage are just 3 of 16 throwing deep. Patriots also ranked 6th best, allowing 5.6 yards per pass attempt. So they're playing more man coverage. They're starting to truly lean on that. And it's been working pretty much almost every time they play man when you look at the percentages. So that's good coaching from Covington. Good coaching. And you also have to think about the circumstances. I talked about that with Drake Maye, right? What defense is he playing? What does that defense do? How strong are they in certain areas? All that stuff, right? Well, when we look at the defense yesterday, we also have to remember some of the context as well. Linebacker is super thin. Juwan Bentley's done as of what we know. They released Raekwon McMillan over the weekend. Then Taki's hamstring acts up, so he has to leave the game. Christian Ellis was not available. So you're dealing with like your fourth or fifth string linebacker, and you're making the most of it. It didn't hurt you. Same thing could be said for safety. You don't have Duggar. We know the Peppers thing. So you've got Del Pettis out there, undrafted free agent. Pettis making plays. Had a sack, had another big impact play. They put Jonathan Jones more at safety yesterday than they had before this season. So they were using Jonathan Jones at safety more. So you start to see some of the changes they made. They played Farms a lot more snaps than he had played. That worked out. So the changes with Jonathan Jones at times, the schooler, using him as a spy, dealing with what you have at linebacker and getting the most out of that. All these things add up for a very good day by DeMarcus Covington. Let's get to Jerod Mayo, somebody who I have criticized. And for me, rightfully so. I think the criticisms have been justified. But I will give credit when credit is due. And I thought Jerod Mayo had a good day yesterday. The end of half management. How many times have they gotten this wrong? How many times have we broken down the decision-making right before the half? How many times have they not picked a lane? Then they pick the wrong lane, in my estimation. Yesterday, great end of half management. A couple timeouts. You got like 35, 40 seconds, whatever it was. You get the football back from Cincinnati, from Chicago. And by the way, Chicago, they royally stunk at the end of the half. They don't run the ball. They don't force the Patriots to use their timeouts. Then they punt the ball directly to Marcus Jones, which was just a boneheaded decision on special teams. But the Patriots took advantage of it. They got pretty good field position. They've got a couple timeouts in their back pocket. They were aggressive. They push it downfield. Great play call, great throw, great catch by Booty. And, you know, Drake Maye said in the postgame that end of half sequence is something that coaching had worked on at practice. You know, getting downfield, getting set up at the line of scrimmage and spiking the football with no timeouts, getting your kicker out there. And they did it to perfection. That is Jerod Mayo. So great job by Mayo. I saw Brennan Schooler in the postgame yesterday. He talked about 34 snaps that Caleb Williams had before this game yesterday. 34 times Caleb Williams held the football for 6 seconds or longer. And what that tells me is this Patriots coaching staff, defensively, they were on the details. They watched the film. They understood what Williams struggled with. They put Schooler out there as the spy, and they made life miserable for Caleb Williams. Devil's in the details. Good job by Jerod Mayo. How about the Patriots early in this game? Going for it on 4th and 1. I've been waiting all year long. They get to the line of scrimmage on 4th and 1. They call a timeout. I said to Kelly, my wife, I go, they're not going for this. They just want to try to draw Chicago off sides. There's no way they go for this. Mayo's been one of the most, if not the most conservative coaches this year in football on 4th down. They're not going to go for this 4th and 1. I was wrong. They went for it. They got it. Love it. Love that decision by Jerod Mayo. Show me more aggression. You're 2-7 in that game. Go for it on 4th and short. That was a positive step in the right direction. Guys ready on the road. Again, 2 of their 3 wins on the road this year. So I give all the credit to Jerod Mayo. Some great stuff. All right. Got one more thing I want to talk about before I bid you adieu on this Monday. Greg Fields throws in a super chat, $5 super chat. Thank you, Greg. A great pod for a victory Monday. Yeah, appreciate you. You know, when these guys win, when they get the chance to win, we're going to talk about it. We're going to embrace it. We're going to enjoy it. I know some people don't like that idea. I couldn't care less. I love the idea. Embrace the wins. We went through what we went through last year. Don't want to go through it again. Let's go to Antonio Benito. Why is Maye diving headfirst on every run? Happens too much. Should only do that at the sticks or goal line. I agree with you, Antonio. As I said, you know, it's one of the things. If I'm this coaching staff, I'm pounding that into the head of Drake Maye every single day. We saw too much of it against Tennessee, and we saw it again yesterday. Do not lead with your head. Do not dive forward. Slide. And he's done a good job of sliding when he's done it. You know, the Jets game, I thought before he went out with the concussion on that hit, he was kind of stumbling and bumbling and off balance and all of that. But he did a good job before that hit of getting down in the Jets game. And I actually complimented him on it. If you go back and you watch that Jets game, he slid 3 or 4 times, or at least 2 times before he got hit on that concussion play. And it looked like he had learned. He was getting out of bounds. He was getting down. We need to see more of that, Antonio. I agree with you. He has to start sliding more. He has to. I hate seeing a quarterback going head first. Enough is enough. I'm sure the coaching staff's telling him. You know, some of it is natural. It's a tough habit to break, but he has to slide down. All right, one last note that I found interesting about yesterday's game, and that's Kendrick Bourne. So Andrew Callahan during the game tweeted out that Bourne did not play, or he was told by the coaches he wasn't going to play a lot at all, if at all. And Callahan wrote, according to his source, it was because the Patriots were trying to get their young receivers more involved. I get that. Makes sense to me. Totally makes sense to me. But what doesn't make sense is if you're trying to integrate your young receivers, then why is KJ Osborne getting 27 snaps? Something doesn't add up here. I'm not going to build some kind of grand conspiracy. I'm not going to throw stuff up against the wall, but that's very weird to me. I don't believe Kendrick Bourne's snaps went from what they were the week before against Tennessee. I believe he got the most snaps out of the wide receiver position. I don't think you go from that amount of snaps to 0 snaps the following week to just get the young guys more snaps, especially when Osborne is playing 27 snaps. If Osborne didn't play yesterday, then I get it. If we just saw Booty, Pop Douglas, Javon Baker, and Jalen Polk, then I say, all right, Kendrick Bourne didn't play because they played their young receivers. But they didn't. I think Javon Baker got like 4 snaps again yesterday. So you can't tell me that Bourne is sitting because you want to get the young receivers reps when KJ Osborne, last time I checked, not a young receiver, is getting 27 snaps. So why is Osborne getting 27 snaps and Kendrick Bourne getting 0? Now, some people might think, oh, there's something off the field. There's something weird. All I'll say is it's weird timing. I'm not buying the explanation because the explanation doesn't pass the smell test because of Osborne. So maybe it's because Kendrick Bourne is running the wrong routes. We've heard about that. You know, maybe Kendrick Bourne, he hasn't been as on the details as they need him to be. He's had a couple of penalties. You go back and he had that false start and then he ends up running a route short of the sticks. Those kinds of things. Maybe the coaching staff saw too many of those kinds of things on the film and said, listen, Kendrick, you're not playing with the details in mind, and you got to get back to detailed football. And until you do, we're not going to play you a ton, if at all. So maybe it's just on the field stuff, lack of discipline on the field, but there's definitely something going on. I would say Jerod Mayo in the post-game press conference, he did not make it a thing. He did not criticize Bourne. He actually complimented Bourne, saying that Bourne was, the ultimate teammate. After the game, he was smiling and he was, high-fiving the guys. He was involved on the sidelines. So Mayo did not go out of his way to go after, so to speak, Kendrick Bourne. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Bourne next week against the Rams. But it's very interesting that KJ Osborne went from, oh, he might get released this week. He doesn't want to be on this team. He's getting 27 snaps, and Bourne's getting 0. Something's going on there. Something's up. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's, off the field. I don't know if it's in the locker room. I don't know if it's on the field and he's just not doing things they want him to do. But we'll see if it changes. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers, folks. Let's tell Patriots fans about this alternative here in New England, the Nick Cattle Show. Let's comment, let's subscribe. Let's rate and review over at Spotify and Apple Pods. That always helps. We're back Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube. Got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about on Wednesday. Should be a good one. Until then, be well. Victory Monday, 2 times out of the last 3. It feels good. Talk to you. It's Nick Cattle's Nick Cattle Show. See you on Wednesday.